Wel, bore da blant, sut ydych chi y bore yma? Now, I've got another story about... This is a sequel to the sequel to the sequel. So this is what happens. Somebody thinks what happens a long time after Goldilocks breaks into Three Bears' house. So before we start, let's do our good morning song. Barod. Bore da, sit o'i ti, bendigedig, bore da. This one is called Goldilocks Returns. Now, if you return, it means you come back to somewhere, isn't it? And have a little look at Goldilocks. She's changed a lot, isn't she? Because she's an older lady now. And she has decided that it's about time she made amends, that she showed the Three Bears how sorry she was for her naughty behaviour. She's trying to make it up to them now. Are we ready? Oh, look, there she is. She's got all these plans in front of her. As a child, she was known as Goldilocks, and she was very naughty indeed. Her favourite hobby was snooping in houses where no one was home until, of course, all that dreadful trouble with the bears. Then Goldilocks grew up, and the older she got, the worse she felt about her horrid behaviour. She shortened her name and pinned up her curls so no one would recognise her. Goldie opened a shop to help people protect themselves against snoopers. But no matter how she tried to leave her life of crime behind her, it haunted her day and night. Goldie had nightmares about bears. She cried at the mere sight of a teddy bear. Her customers even began to look like teddy bears. "I can't take it any longer," she sobbed at last. "It's time I set things right." Early one morning, Goldie loaded up her truck, turned her shop sign to closed, and zoomed off towards the deep dark woods. Goldie's locks and keys. So she's got like a security business. At that very moment, the three bears, whom she'd scared out of their wits years before, were sitting down to their breakfast. They were Papa Bear and Mama Bear and their son, who, though not a baby for some 50 years now, still went by the name Baby Bear. Due to the fright brought on by Goldilocks, he still had a wee little voice, a little tiny voice. Their breakfast, as usual, was porridge, and as it had been every day since any one of them could remember, it was much too hot to eat. "Grab your hats," Papa Bear sighed, and the three unsuspected bears left for their daily walk. Why doesn't Mammy Bear just make it a bit cooler then and add a bit more milk? No sooner had the three bears left than Goldie screeched to a stop in front of their cosy cottage. "Oh, it hasn't changed a bit," she gasped. Strapping her tool belt on, Goldie walked to the door and knocked. A smile crept upon her face as she realised that the bears again were not at home. Goldie walked right in. "I'll fix that," she said, chuckling, and with a drill in one hand and a screwdriver in the other, Goldie swung into action. Moments later, the bear's door was laden with the finest in locking hardware, padlock, double bolt, and the secret anti-snoop lock she used in only the most serious cases. "Won't they be delighted?" she crooned. Next, Goldie headed for the kitchen. There sat 3 bowls of porridge. "Oh, she said, "it's the same goop as before." Goldie emptied the bowls into the sink. "They won't have to eat this nasty tasting stuff anymore," and she set out her special fat-free rutabaga breakfast bars and cans of tart and tasty celery juice. I don't know about you, but I think that sounds absolutely disgusting. Goldie stacked the cabinets with enough breakfast bars and celery juice to last for months. While she was at it, she threw away any food that she thought was unhealthy or she didn't like herself. Well, she shocks me. "Now to spruce up this place a little," Goldie announced, pulling out 3 bolts of pom-pom fringe and her staple gun. The results were stunning. Feeling better already, Goldie burst into the living room. "Egad," she cried when she saw what Baby Bear had made from the pieces of his broken chair. "Nothing a little bit of hot glue can't fix." She whipped out her glue gun, and in no time the rocking horse was a chair again. "Good as new," Goldie said. "No, better. Now to fix those other ghastly chairs." Even after all these years, Goldie still thought Mamma Bear's chair was too soft and Daddy Bear's was too hard. The stuffing was quickly removed from one and put into the other. Now, is it anything to do with her? Oh! Goldie hung hoity-toity drapes, scattered pillows, and covered all the furniture with shiny plastic covers. "Perfect at last," she declared. Goldie raced up the stairs into the three bears' bedroom. "Good gosh," she said, testing the bears of Papa Bear and Mamma Bear. "Just as I remembered, too hard and too soft." And before you could say Rip Van Winkle, she had adjusted the stuffings to her finicky liking. Goldie sprayed ravishing roses perfume in the air and tied bouquets of plastic flowers around the room for a back-to-nature look. Look at her lying on the beds again. "It's glorious," Goldie sang, falling back on Baby Bear's bed to admire the room. "The bears will be so grateful." Suddenly, Goldie was exhausted, and once again Baby Bear's bed was just right, and before she knew it, Goldie had drifted off to her most peaceful sleep in 50 years. The bears, meanwhile, were finally returning home from their walk. Seeing the truck, they began to worry. They hadn't had much luck with visitors in the past. "What on?" Papa said, noticing the locks on the door. They heard Baby Bear squealing in the kitchen. "Oh no! Oh my gosh! Oh my heavens!" he cried in his wee little voice. "Look! Look!" With jaws dropping and eyes popping, the two older bears did just that. Papa Bear snarled at the sight of the table and bellowed in his big deep voice, "Someone has taken my porridge!" Mamma Bear nodded. "Someone has taken my porridge," she said in her medium-sized voice. And Baby Bear, discovering the mess in the sink, cried in his wee little voice, "Someone has taken my porridge and they've thrown it all away." Memory told the bears to race to the living room. It was a shocking sight. Papa Bear's knees buckled and he fell into his now poofy chair. "Someone," he growled, bristling, "has been fooling with my chair." Mamma Bear tried hers and gasped, hard as a rock, "Someone has been fooling with my chair." "Rah!" Baby Bear screeched, stomping up and down. "Someone has been fooling with my chair and they've put it back together." And all the three bears ran helter-skelter up the stairs. "Phew!" Baby Bear gagged. "What's that smell?" "Ravishing roses," Mamma Bear read, picking up the empty bottle from the floor. The two older bears did not even bother to check their beds. They knew where to look, and what they saw made their fur stand on end. Baby Bear began to tremble. "She's back," he wailed, hoping it was all just a nightmare. "Someone's been sleeping in my bed, and here she is again." And at that moment, Goldie's eyes popped open. "You're home!" Goldie shouted, crushing each bear with a hug and kissing their furry cheeks. The shocked bears opened their mouths to protest, but Goldie raced on. "No, now don't thank me. I know you're terribly grateful, but after all, I was the one who caused the trouble to begin with. Of course, I've more than made up for that." Goldie gleefully danced through the house, pointing out her deeds. "Naturally, I fixed that silly little chair," she said, "and got rid of that nasty porridge. The rutabaga breakfast bars are fat-free, so you might even be able to lose that extra weight there," she chuckled, tapping Papa Bear on the stomach. "Don't think she's in a position to talk, is she?" A growl began to grow in Papa Bear's throat, but before he could get it out, Goldie tossed him the keys to her fancy locks, and off she sped. "Wait! Come back!" yelled the bears, but it did no good. As her truck rounded a corner in the road, the bear saw a flash of gold. Goldie, smiling, unpinned her curls and shook them out in the breeze. The dazed bears slowly returned to their cottage. They moved awkwardly about their fancy schmancy house. They couldn't eat, couldn't get comfortable in their chairs, so they all went to bed. Nobody slept a wink. The next morning, the three exhausted bears sat at their kitchen table miserably staring at their rutabaga breakfast bars and cereal juice. "Oh, do you know, maybe we should just go for a walk," Mama Bear suggested, and they all ran for their hats. The 3 bears set off through the woods, relieved to be out of their house. But just then, Baby Bear spied something through the trees. It was a very mischievous-looking little girl, skipping along the path that led straight to their cottage. "Oh no," he panicked, "not this again. We didn't lock the door. Quick, stop her. She might eat our food. She might mess up the fancy things. She might break my chair." The bears began to run after the girl, but then they suddenly stopped. "Eat the food," said Mama Bear. "Mess up the fancy things," said Papa Bear. "Break my chair," repeated Baby Bear. Very slowly they all smiled. And then, turning around, the bears happily continued on their walk. Oh, and that's the end. Do you think that's because they want that little girl to eat up all that nasty food and to ruin all the fancy drapes and ruin the chairs and the beds? I think so. I like that story. She's just as naughty in her 50s as she was when she was little. Are we ready then? Hwyl fawr ffrindiau, hwyl fawr ffrindiau, hwyl fawr ffrindiau, mae'n amser dweud hwyl fawr. Twralwra bantynni, 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 twralwra bantynni, mae'n amser dweud hwyl fawr. See you tomorrow.